My name is Maureen Qureshi, Dr. Maureen Qureshi, and I'm married. In fact, next year I'll be celebrating my 20th year anniversary. I met my husband at uni. I went to Uni of New South Wales.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 24, I believe, 24 when I got married. So we met at uni and we got married in 2001. And we have 4 children, 6 to 16. My husband was training, and medical training is quite intensive. It's a lot of study, it's a lot of late nights, it's a lot of, at one stage, going overseas. So it's quite difficult to raise a family with 2 parents going through that. So my feeling was, one, because it's me who's having the children. He can't have the children, he can't bear children, and as I said before, breastfeeding and nurturing them, you know, little like babies and young children need their mothers. My youngest son was not very well. In fact, that's the first time I stopped working. When he was born, and we went away and came back, and he continued to have health issues. That's the first time that I kind of said no work at all. And we were able to get him better once he improved and turned 3 or 4, started school. Then that's when I started to have that impression that I need to go back. So the first problem was with registration because of lack of recency of practice. While I was away, the rules had changed in regards to that. And I was required to have worked at least within the last 2 years, which was not my case. So I basically had to go through the whole registration process again, getting my results from uni. I had just been overseas in England, so I had to get like police clearance. I needed to get birth certificates, passports, and then even when I got it, I was advised that I would still need supervision, which is fair enough. I hadn't worked for a while, but that further restricted my opportunities. The most frustrating thing is even after I got jobs, with every job I got, I needed to go through APRA, and they needed to approve the job as well. A process taking sometimes more than 2 months. It made things even more complicated because most of the time when the hospitals were interviewing, they needed someone immediately, sometimes even yesterday, as one person told me. So I'd get the role, they would accept me, and then APRA would, you know, take a long time and I lose the job. So then it was back to square one. I don't think a parent's presence at home or increased presence is ever a disadvantage, you know. And now that I have teenagers, even now that I have teenagers, I still see that. You know, the conversations that happen in those small, unrushed moments. And it's hard to be unrushed when you're working full time because there's so much to do in such a small or short period of time.
That's true.
That it just, everything is cut down to practicalities, you know. We talk about our plans, what we need to do, where are we meeting, what are we eating. But when I'm at home and I'm cooking dinner, or I'm there and I'm making breakfast for them, you know, things come up, you know. This, you know, I was at school and this happened at school and I don't feel that great about it. More opportunities for conversation. When I'm driving them to activities, when, you know, we're doing chores together, when we're cleaning up after dinner, it's definitely more opportunities for conversation. But I think being at home full time, I see the benefits of that.
Looking back, what would you do differently? Would you change anything about your decisions that you made?
I think I'll definitely keep my hand in it. It might be different for other careers, I'm not sure, but medicine is just one of those now that I've learned that you really, that recency of practice, now not only is it a regulation, it's a really important thing. Just because medicine is so, it like changes so quickly in terms of information, what research comes out, you know, health regulations that change.
So is it kind of like what you studied is not necessarily what's being practiced after
yeah, some
a while?
of it is actually obsolete.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been able to do that, then that's a problem. So that's what I'll do differently. I definitely would not do full time. There are no regrets just being a stay-at-home mom. Another thing I would have done is networked better. I realized how difficult it becomes after being away. Even my friends from uni, you know, not having kept in touch and, you know, kept up with them and what they were doing, that would have been a really, so I would have networked better, made an effort to keep in touch with everyone. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking even in public health, like as a researcher, there's so many organizations and bodies that you can be a part of, Doctors Association of something, or something, and they have conferences. That even if you're a full-time mom, it's just like putting your foot in there, where it's like you're not completely out. You can attend the conferences, which is such a good place to network, and then you can even find out if there are things you can do from home. Would you have taken up options like that, maybe to keep yourself?
Oh no,
updated?
definitely, and toward. Like the last 2 years of being away, that's exactly what I did when I decided I wanted to come back. Then I started.
Oh, you did actually start something.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's right. Just again to just refresh my knowledge, to find out what's new, find out what's happening.
But it's good. I feel like your story is so encouraging, because it's like in the moment there's all this, why would you do that, what are you doing? Also, you have a husband that's a doctor, so you watch him go and live your dream.
We graduate together.
And it's like now you're back in. You have your 4 kids, they've been raised the way you want them to, and you kind of got it all at the end of the day, which is so
but again, lucky. You can have it all, but it requires sacrifice. It requires sacrifice. And I believe that, you know, we've been married this long because of some of those sacrifices. He's definitely very supportive.
That's good.
But the decisions we've made as a family, which have not seemed like maybe decisions that someone else would make, or even savvy sort of decisions, are the ones that have saved our marriage and have saved, you know, our family. It would have been easy, I think, for both of us to go on to specialize, spend a lot of time away from our children, and I don't think we would then have the positive influence that we would want to on them, because it's all about the time spent. But yes, there are definitely those few things that I would do differently.
And how does it feel like being back now?
It feels great,
doesn't it?
Oh my goodness, it's fantastic. Using that part of my brain, you know, after a while things become automatic. You know, when you do something often enough, whether that's at work or at home, it just becomes automatic, and you stop. Your brain stops growing because it's become habit.
You always want to challenge.
You always want to challenge. That's right, because where there's no challenge, there's no change.
Absolutely.
So whether that's with your job, or that's at home trying to do different courses, and that's another thing I probably would have done differently, is done more courses while I was at home. Yeah, because now everything is online
courses and things you can do.
It's so accessible.
How did the kids take the transition of mommy going back to work?
Oh, there's a lot of, especially with the youngest one. It's always hard. And my perfect working scenario would be to just have a part-time job. They do not cater for women coming back to work with children. Because obviously once you have children, your priorities have changed. You do not want to be spending, you know, like 50 hours a week at work. Oh my goodness. I would not recognize that person. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. That is really nice. Jeez. Now you give me the mirror, now I can't even. Oh, sorry, I keep saying that. I'm so shocked. It looks really good. Like you've given me cheekbones. I actually have, I'm like, that's where they are. God. Now I'm thinking you should not take it off. I should just go shock people. This is crazy. My goodness. I don't even know. This is so crazy. That already is just a shock to see how makeup can transform a person like that, like to that extent. It's crazy. The main advice would be to live your own story. It's so easy to kind of do things because other people are doing them or not doing them, but you have that power to decide what's going to be best for your life. You know, Nelson Mandela says it's always impossible until someone does it. Know what's going to be best for you and your family. It'll always work out. Having said that, if there's a way for you to keep your hand in whatever way, whether it's through the conferences, whether it's part-time work, you know, once a week or once a fortnight, I'd encourage that as well. It's important as stay-at-home moms to stimulate that part of our brain, because sometimes housework and, you know, taking care of children, as rewarding as it is, can get a bit mundane. It does help to stimulate you in other ways. This was so much fun, and look at me. Oh my goodness. I'm still in shock.